I heard my mother's champagne flute hit the marble floor before I registered what my grandfather had just asked me. "So, Jenna," Grandpa Richard said, his eyes twinkling over the candlelight at his 80th birthday dinner, "now that you've graduated and you're working, how do you plan to spend your trust fund? $3.4 million is quite a responsibility for a 24-year-old. The room went silent. I mean, the kind of silent where you can hear the air conditioning hum and someone's fork scraping porcelain 3 tables away. I was standing there in my Target dress, the nicest thing I owned, holding a glass of house wine I'd been nursing for an hour because I couldn't afford the bar tab at this country club. "I'm sorry," I said slowly, my voice sounding strange and far away. "What trust fund?" My grandfather's smile faltered. My mother's face went from sun-kissed tan to chalk white in under 2 seconds. My father, my always composed, always in control father, looked like he was trying to swallow a golf ball. "The trust fund I established when you were born," Grandpa said, his voice losing its warmth, his gaze shifting to my parents. "The one that matured when you turned 21. Margaret, David, you told me she knew about it. You said she was being responsible with it." I set my wine glass down because my hands started shaking. $3.4 million. I'd worked 3 jobs through college. I'd eaten ramen for dinner 4 nights a week. I'd skipped my senior spring break to pick up extra shifts at the campus library. I had $32,000 in student loans. And apparently, I'd had $3.4 million just sitting somewhere the entire time. If you've ever felt like your entire life was a lie, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Because I need to know I'm not alone in this. "Richard," my mother said, her voice thin and desperate, "this isn't the time or place." "Oh, I think it's exactly the time and place," Grandpa interrupted. His voice was cold now, nothing like the warm, jovial tone he'd used all evening. "Jenna, sweetheart, come sit next to me." I walked over on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. The entire country club dining room was watching now. Probably 60 people, all my grandfather's wealthy friends and business associates, all witnessing whatever was about to happen. Grandpa pulled out the chair beside him. I sat. He took my hand, and I realized his fingers were trembling. "When you were born," he began loud enough for everyone to hear, "I set up a trust fund for you. $3.4 million. Invested conservatively. It was meant to mature when you turned 21, giving you freedom to start a business, buy a home, travel, pursue your dreams without the crushing weight of money worries." "Dad, please." My father started. "I'm not finished, David." Grandpa's tone could have cut glass. "I made your parents the trustees. Their only job was to inform Jenna when she turned 21 and help her access the funds responsibly. Instead, from what I'm gathering right now, they told her nothing. We were protecting her," my mother said, standing up so fast her chair tipped backward. "She was too young, too irresponsible. We were going to tell her when she was ready. She's 24, Margaret. She's been ready." Grandpa turned back to me. "Jenna, have you been working multiple jobs?" "3, I whispered. "Sometimes 4 during holiday seasons." "And student loans?" $32,000. I heard someone gasp. Maybe multiple someones. My grandfather's jaw tightened. "While sitting on $3.4 million that legally became yours 3 years ago," he said. "Margaret. David. My office. Tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. sharp. We're going to have a very long conversation about fiduciary responsibility and fraud." The word fraud echoed through that dining room like a bomb. I drove myself home that night. My parents tried to corner me in the parking lot, but Grandpa walked me to my car. My 12-year-old Honda Civic with the dented bumper and the check engine light that had been on for 8 months because I couldn't afford to fix it. "Jenna," he said, gripping my shoulders, "I am so sorry. I thought they'd told you. I've been asking about it for 3 years. Asking how you were managing it, if you needed financial advice. They always said you were doing great, being smart with it." They lied to you, I said. My voice sounded hollow. Yes, they did. He pressed something into my palm. A business card. This is my attorney. Call him first thing tomorrow. We're going to fix this. I nodded, but I wasn't really processing. I got in my car and drove back to my apartment. A 500-square-foot studio in the cheapest neighborhood I could find, where I could hear my neighbors through the walls, and the hot water only lasted 10 minutes. I'd been living like this for 3 years while sitting on millions. When I unlocked my door, I just stood there in the dark, staring at my futon couch, my plastic dishes, my second-hand everything. Then I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through old text messages with my mother. There were dozens. Hundreds, maybe. Can you pick up an extra shift this weekend? We need help with the mortgage. I'd sent them money. 200 here, 500 there. When Dad's car broke down. When Mom needed dental work. When they said they were struggling. I'd sent them thousands of dollars over the years. My money. My $3.4 million. And they'd asked me, their daughter, working herself to exhaustion, for more. I didn't sleep. At 8:30 the next morning, I called the attorney Grandpa had given me. His name was Howard Chen, and his assistant got me in for 10 a.m. His office was downtown, the kind of place with marble floors and original art on the walls. I showed up in my work clothes, black slacks and a button-down from Target, the uniform I wore to my admin job at a medical billing company. Howard Chen was maybe 50. With silver-rimmed glasses and the most serious face I'd ever seen. Ms. Morrison, he said, shaking my hand. Your grandfather called me last night. I've already begun pulling records. This is, well, it's one of the more egregious cases I've seen. He spread papers across his desk. Bank statements. Trust documents. Transaction records. Your trust fund was established in 2000. When you were born, he explained. It matured on your 21st birthday in 2021. At that time, your parents as trustees were legally required to transfer full control to you and inform you of its existence. Instead, they've been managing it themselves for 3 years. Managing it how? I asked. Howard's expression darkened. They've withdrawn approximately $840,000. The room tilted. What? Small withdrawals at first. 5,000 here, 10,000 there. Escalating over time. The most recent withdrawal was $60,000, just 2 months ago. They've been listing these as educational expenses and living allowances for you, which as trustees they had some discretion to authorize. Except you never received these funds. I thought about my student loans. My ramen dinners. The times I'd chosen between groceries and gas. That's fraud, I said quietly. Yes, Howard agreed. That's fraud. And your grandfather is prepared to press charges if necessary, though he wanted me to speak with you first. This is your money, Ms. Morrison. The decision of how to proceed is yours. My parents called 47 times that day. I didn't answer. They showed up at my apartment that night. I watched through the peephole as they knocked and called my name, my mother crying, my father's voice tight with controlled anger. I didn't open the door. Instead, I texted them. Speak through Howard Chen. I have nothing to say to you directly. My mother's response came immediately. Jenna, please. We can explain. We were trying to protect you. You don't understand. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I typed. You stole from me for 3 years. You watched me struggle. You took money from me when I was working 3 jobs. There's nothing to understand. My father texted next. You're being manipulated by your grandfather. He's always hated us. This is about him, not you. That one actually made me laugh. This bitter, sharp sound that didn't feel like it came from me. I texted back. You stole $840,000. Grandpa didn't do that. You did. Then I blocked both their numbers. If you're watching this and you've ever had to cut off family because they betrayed you, hit that subscribe button. Sometimes the hardest thing is walking away from people who were supposed to protect you. Over the next 2 weeks, Howard worked fast. He subpoenaed records, filed preliminary motions, and built a case that was, in his words, airtight. I spent those weeks in a fog, going through the motions at work, coming home to my tiny apartment, staring at documents that proved my parents had been systematically stealing from me. The withdrawals told a story. May 2021, 2 months after my 21st birthday. $15,000. Labeled, Jenna's graduation gift. I never received a graduation gift. August 2021. $22,000. Jenna's apartment security deposit and furnishings. I paid my own security deposit. $800 that I'd saved for 6 months. My furniture was from Facebook Marketplace. December 2021. $35,000. Jenna's vehicle purchase. I was still driving the same Civic I'd had since high school. It went on and on. Every withdrawal was labeled as being for me, for my benefit, for my future. Every single dollar had gone straight into their accounts. But the real kicker came when Howard showed me what they'd actually been spending it on. They refinanced their house last year, he said, sliding another document across his desk. Paid off the mortgage entirely. $410,000. The money came directly from withdrawals made from your trust in the months prior, funneled through 2 intermediate accounts to obscure the trail. They used my money to pay off their house, I said slowly. Yes. They also purchased a new Lexus SUV for your mother. $68,000. Took a 3-week European vacation. $42,000. Your father made significant improvements to his dental practice. New equipment, office renovation. Those invoices total about $190,000. I sat there, doing the math in my head. While I was eating 99-cent ramen and walking to work because I couldn't afford gas, they were touring Italy and driving a Lexus. What do you want to do? Howard asked quietly. I looked up at him. I want everything back. Every penny. And I want them to face consequences. Criminal charges? I thought about my mother's tears, my father's anger, the way they'd raised me and loved me and, I thought, sacrificed for me. Then I thought about the 3 years I'd lost. The stress. The exhaustion. The nights I'd cried because I didn't know how I'd make rent. Yes, I said. Criminal charges. Howard arranged a meeting. My parents, their lawyer, Grandpa Richard, Howard, and me. Neutral territory. A conference room in Howard's office building. I got there early. Sat in the leather chair and waited. When my parents walked in, I barely recognized them. My mother looked like she'd aged 10 years. Dark circles, no makeup, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. My father was gray-faced, his shoulders slumped. Their lawyer was a nervous-looking man named Gerald something, who kept adjusting his tie. Thank you all for coming, Howard began. We're here to discuss the misappropriation of funds from the trust established for Ms. Jenna Morrison. Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, as trustees, you withdrew $840,000 over a 3-year period, claiming these were for Ms. Morrison's benefit. Our records show she received none of these funds. We were managing her money, my father said, his voice defensive. We were investing it, protecting it. You bought a Lexus, I said quietly. The room went silent. You paid off your mortgage. You went to Europe. You renovated Dad's office. My voice was steady now, cold. You didn't invest anything. You stole from me. Jenna, sweetie, please. My mother started. Don't call me that. I looked straight at her. You watched me work myself to exhaustion. You asked me for money when your car broke down. My money, apparently. You let me take out student loans when I had millions sitting in an account you controlled. You lied to Grandpa for 3 years. You lied to me my entire life. We were going to tell you, my father insisted. When you were more mature, more ready. I'm 24. I have a college degree. I've been financially independent, or so I thought, for 3 years. When exactly was I going to be ready? No answer. Grandpa Richard leaned forward. David. Margaret. I trusted you. I gave you one responsibility. To protect Jenna's future. Instead, you stole it. Here's what's going to happen, Howard said, pulling out a document. You have 2 options. Option 1. You return every penny you withdrew, $840,000, within 90 days. You resign as trustees. You sign a confession acknowledging the misappropriation. In exchange, we don't file criminal charges, and this stays out of the press. My father's lawyer leaned in, whispering urgently. Option 2, Howard continued. We file criminal fraud charges, pursue full prosecution, and make this matter public. Given your standing in the community, Mr. Morrison, your dental practice, your country club membership, your reputation, I imagine that would be professionally and socially devastating. This is extortion, my father said. No, Howard replied calmly. This is offering you a graceful exit from a situation where you committed fraud. The criminal charges are real, documented, and actionable. We're giving you a choice. My mother was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Jenna, please. We're your parents. We made mistakes, but we love you. Don't destroy our lives over this. And here's the thing. I felt it. That pull. That little girl inside me who still wanted her mom and dad to be the people I thought they were. But then I thought about lying awake at 3 a.m., calculating whether I could afford both groceries and my electric bill. I thought about the time I passed out at work from exhaustion and my boss sent me home, and I couldn't afford to lose those hours. I thought about my student loan payments, still coming every month, while they drove a Lexus. You destroyed my trust, I said. My life. My faith in you. Over money that wasn't even yours. So no, Mom. I'm not going to feel guilty about this. We're halfway through this story, and if you're feeling this in your chest, that anger, that betrayal, leave me a comment about a time someone you trusted let you down. And hit that like button if you think Jenna deserves justice. They took the settlement. Of course they did. The alternative was prison time and public humiliation. $840,000, to be returned in 90 days. They didn't have it, of course. They'd spent it. So they had to scramble, refinance the house they'd just paid off, sell the Lexus, liquidate retirement accounts. I watched it all happen through Howard's documentation, each payment processed and verified. My father's dental practice took a hit because he couldn't afford the new equipment payments. They had to downsize their house, move to a smaller place across town. My mother started working, actually working, for the first time in 15 years, as a receptionist at a law firm. Grandpa Richard supervised everything, his disappointment in them colder than any anger could have been. I didn't speak to them. Didn't respond to the letters my mother sent, the ones where she tried to explain, to apologize, to make me understand that they'd only wanted to protect me from making bad choices with so much money. Because that was the narrative they'd built. I was irresponsible. I was too young. I would have wasted it. Never mind that I'd put myself through college. Never mind that I'd managed my tiny budget so carefully I'd never once bounced a check or missed a payment. Never mind that they were the ones who couldn't be trusted with money. On day 87, the final payment cleared. $840,000, back in my account. Plus 3 years of growth I'd missed. Howard was pursuing that separately. I was whole again. Financially, at least. When the money finally hit my account, all of it, the original trust plus the returned funds, I sat in my apartment and stared at my phone for maybe an hour. The number was surreal. More money than I'd ever imagined having. More than enough to change everything. I didn't go crazy. Didn't buy a car or a house or take some wild vacation. Instead, I paid off my student loans. All $32,000. Gone in one transaction. Then I sat there and cried, these huge gasping sobs, because I'd been carrying that weight for so long, and suddenly it was just gone. Next, I called my landlord and paid 6 months of rent in advance. Then I went grocery shopping and bought whatever I wanted. Fresh vegetables, good bread, real coffee, the fancy yogurt I'd always walked past. I filled my cart and didn't look at prices once. It felt like breathing for the first time in years. I quit 2 of my 3 jobs. Kept the medical billing one because I actually liked it. But now I only worked 40 hours a week instead of 70. I slept 8 hours a night. I took weekends off. I started seeing a therapist. Someone who specialized in family trauma and financial abuse. Yes, that's a thing. Yes, I needed it. And slowly, I started planning what came next. I'd always wanted to start something of my own. In college, I dreamed about it. Late-night conversations with roommates about business ideas, sketches and notebooks I'd never had time to develop. Now I had time. And money. And anger that needed somewhere productive to go. I spent 3 months researching, planning, consulting with experts. Then I launched Morrison Financial Advocacy, a nonprofit that helps young people navigate financial literacy, trust funds, and family financial dynamics. We offer free counseling, legal referrals, and education programs. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was using the money my parents had stolen to help other people avoid being victimized the same way. Grandpa Richard became my biggest supporter. He donated matching funds, connected me with other wealthy families who wanted to do better by their grandchildren, and served on our advisory board. Within a year, we'd helped 43 young people identify financial irregularities in their accounts. We'd recovered over $2 million in misappropriated funds. We'd educated hundreds more on their rights and how to protect themselves. I hired a small staff, people who believed in the mission, who'd been through their own versions of betrayal and wanted to prevent it for others. And I threw myself into the work. Long hours, but different than before. Now I was building something, not just surviving. 18 months after that disastrous dinner party, my parents appeared at my office. I was in a meeting when my assistant knocked, looking uncomfortable. Jenna, your parents are here. They don't have an appointment, but they're asking if you'll see them. My stomach dropped. I hadn't seen them face to face since that meeting in Howard's conference room. Give me 5 minutes, I told her. I finished my meeting, walked the client out, and then stood in my office. My beautiful corner office with windows overlooking downtown, trying to steady myself. When they came in, they looked smaller somehow. Older. My mother's hair had gone gray. My father had lost weight, and not in a healthy way. Jenna, my mother said, her voice breaking. Thank you for seeing us. I didn't respond. Just waited. We wanted to apologize, my father said. Really apologize. Not the defensive, self-justifying things we said before. We were wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong. We told ourselves we were protecting you, my mother continued. But the truth is, we were scared. Scared you wouldn't need us anymore if you had that money. Scared you'd realize you could do better than us, have a better life, and we'd lose you. So you stole from me, I said quietly. And lied. And let me struggle. Because you were scared I wouldn't need you? Yes. My father's voice cracked. And we lost you anyway. We lost you in the worst possible way. By proving we didn't deserve you. Silence. We're not asking for forgiveness, my mother said. We know we don't deserve it. We just wanted you to know that we see what we did. We understand. And we're sorry. I could have thrown them out. I could have said nothing, let them leave, and never seen them again. Part of me wanted to. That part of me was still that exhausted 21-year-old eating ramen, crying over bills, wondering why life was so hard when it apparently didn't have to be. But another part of me, the part that had been going to therapy, building something meaningful, learning to process the rage and hurt, that part knew something else. Holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting them to die. "I'm not ready to forgive you," I said slowly. "I don't know if I ever will be. What you did was unforgivable. Not just the theft, but the betrayal. The lying. Watching me suffer when you could have helped." They both nodded, tears streaming down their faces. "But," I continued, "I don't want to carry this hatred forever. It's been eating me alive, and I'm tired of giving you that power over me." "Jenna," my mother started. "I'm not finished." My voice was firm. "Here's what I'm willing to do. We can have supervised contact. Dinners, maybe once a month. In public. With Grandpa Richard there. And therapy, family therapy with a professional. If you're willing to do the real work of understanding what you did and why, then maybe we can build something new. Not the relationship we had," I added. "That's dead. You killed it. But maybe something honest. Something real. Where you actually see me as an adult capable of making my own choices." My father nodded. "Whatever you need. Whatever it takes. And one more thing," I said. "You're going to volunteer for Morrison Financial Advocacy. 20 hours a month. You're going to help other families understand the damage that financial betrayal causes. You're going to turn your mistake into something that helps people." My mother's eyes widened. "You want us to?" "I want you to face what you did. Every day. And help make sure it doesn't happen to someone else." They looked at each other. Then back at me. "Okay," my father said. "Okay." It's been 2 years now since Grandpa Richard asked me that question at his birthday dinner. 2 years since my world shattered and rebuilt itself into something I never expected. Morrison Financial Advocacy is thriving. We've helped over 200 young people, recovered millions in stolen or mismanaged funds, and educated thousands more on protecting themselves. My relationship with my parents is complicated. We have dinner once a month, still with Grandpa there, because I'm not ready to see them alone. We're in therapy. They're showing up, doing the work, volunteering at the nonprofit. Some days I think maybe we'll get to real forgiveness. Other days I'm still angry, still hurt, still mourning the parents I thought I had. But I'm not stuck anymore. I'm not drowning. I'm not eating ramen and working 70-hour weeks and wondering why life is so hard. I'm building something. I'm helping people. I'm living the life I was supposed to have all along. And here's what I learned through all of this. Money doesn't fix everything. Having that trust fund didn't heal the betrayal or erase the pain. But it gave me choices. It gave me freedom. It gave me the space to build something meaningful instead of just surviving. The real wealth wasn't the money. It was discovering I was strong enough to demand what I deserved, smart enough to build something from the ashes, and brave enough to set boundaries even with the people I loved most. My parents stole 3 years from me. But they couldn't steal who I was becoming. They couldn't steal my future. And in a weird way, their betrayal taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. And never, ever let anyone make you small just so they can feel big. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been betrayed by family, or had to rebuild yourself from nothing, or learned that the hardest strength is setting boundaries with people you love, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. And subscribe if you want more real talk about family, money, and the messy journey of figuring out who you are when the people you trusted most let you down. Because we're not alone in this. None of us are. And that's worth remembering.